I got a new journal for my podcast notes. Some small FOs, I might be cheating on that one, some whips, and lots of news about a giveaway and a knit along that's starting in February. So grab your needles, the favorite project you want to work on, something nice to drink, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. My name is Christine and I'm coming to you from just outside of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. I want to thank all my new subscribers and those that are returning viewers for joining me today. And there's been a sudden spike in the number of subscribers on the YouTube channel, as well as my Instagram followers. I'm not quite sure what the reason is, but if you were recommended to me from somewhere, please do let me know so I can thank them. Thank you again for joining me today, and before I forget, you can find me on Instagram as sweet_lavender1 and on Ravelry as sweetlavender1. I had to think about that one. Also, just want to let you know off the top of the episode that I have started a Ravelry Group because I'm hoping that there will be a nice group of people that will chat and, you know, we can get to know one another with our knitting and just having fun. So no pressure, but if you feel like joining in, you'll find it on Ravelry as Sweet Lavender Knits. Okay, what else? I just have to look at my notes so I don't forget anything. I recorded this whole episode yesterday, which was my scheduled recording day on Saturday, so I could upload it today on Sunday, but that didn't go well because it was very, very gloomy and the lighting was terrible. I know right now it looks a little blown out on the side of the screen, and I'm sorry about that, but I'm hoping that this angle gives me a little more light, and especially with the things I'm showing, I have a little more light with it. So yes, I hope it's okay. So hoping today goes better, and yes, let's get started right away with finished objects. Like I said, I will be I might be cheating on this, but that's what I have. It's been very distracting 2 weeks where I've wanted to knit everything but then couldn't decide on what to start off with, or you know, just having trouble with decisions, and so I didn't get a lot of knitting done, and it was yeah, it was very all over the place, and I didn't quite like that feeling. Hoping that this next 2 weeks will be a lot better and I will be able to get a lot more knitting in. Okay, so to start off, here is my miter squares blanket, and I had the 4 squares that I showed the last time, to which I have added on my needles at the back, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just to go through the yarns very quickly. I'm not sure if you guys are even interested in knowing where the yarns come from or what they are. I won't have the exact names to them, but I will just briefly share it, and if you are very interested, then do please let me know and I can go into more details because I do have them written down somewhere. Okay, the top 3 here, they are from Minnie's Advent collection or package that Woolberry Fiber Co. Bethany had put together for 2016 December, and I had got the whole package, and oh, here I have it with me. Okay, so this was it. 12 Days of Christmas, and it was a mini skein set there, to use the right words. and it was on her smooth sock base and 80/20 merino nylon, and each of the skeins are 10 grams. So which is about 40 yards, and she had named each of them and sorted it out, and had it in this package all sorted out. But when I picked out the first one, all of the others kind of got jumbled, and I didn't bother keeping them in the right order, so now I don't know which one is which. I really wish I had kept them in the right order so I know which one is which, but unfortunately I don't. And so I just hand wind them, like I have this one ready to go to put into the blanket. And I'm trying to use up this packet of minis because I'm working on this blanket. This is for my daughter, for anyone who has not seen it before. My daughter had asked me to do Scrappy Squares blanket for her. Well, she wanted a knitted blanket, and this is what I picked. I also have another project that I'm working on, and out of the two, she picked this one. So I did the 4 squares, and the miters go in different directions. Originally, it was not planned. It just happened, and so I thought, okay, I'll just follow along with the same design and work around it each time to keep the miter in the direction going out from the center of here. I tried that, trust me, I tried, but it just got to be, that was part of my frustration through the 2 weeks, is just trying to figure out the placement of the next one, making sure that the miter was going in the right direction. Actually, that was not difficult. I could vision the miter very quickly into which direction it needed to go, but it was the placement of the yarn. So I started off with I think it was this, and then I did this. So you can see I still followed that miter direction, and I did this one as well. It's blowing out. There we go. It's a speckled yarn. So these 3 are from the mini skeins set. And then I thought, okay, now I have to go in this direction here, and I was trying to keep it, and it was just too much. So I thought, you know what? Let me just go out, keep this as a design feature in the corners of the blanket to have these 4 squares going out like that, and the rest of the blanket to follow this way diagonally. That way I can work out the width of the blanket and then work up, and I think it'll be a lot simpler for me. So that ended me with 2 bind off edges, which now I wanted to do this before I got on the podcast, but you know what, if I keep putting it off, everything will get delayed, and so I thought I can explain that on the podcast. So I'm just gonna mattress stitch it. Okay, all right, so that's that, and that's why I have this weird looking thing here, a split. These 2 are part of the same yarn. It's Felici, Knit Picks Felici. I don't remember the colorway, but I can find it, and probably if I remember I'll put it up on the screen. And what I did is I knit one set of the colors as 1 square and continued on with the other set of colors as the other square. Hindsight is 20/20, because it's now that I realized, and I thought, oh, I should not have done that, in putting 2 grays beside each other. But at least they're diagonal and not right beside each other. And I'm hoping that this black stripe in this one will differentiate it and it won't look so bad. So there is, those are my finished objects. Do they count? 5 squares? Yeah, like I said, I might be cheating this time, but hopefully you guys will let me off the hook. Okay, so that's that, and what I'm using is are these wooden DPNs that I have. They're 6-inch long DPNs. It's a set that I got of eBay, I think. And I like them. They're pretty smooth and they're easy to work with. And because of the short length of them, they are easy to handle. And yeah, all you need is some yarn. Each of the squares takes about 5 grams of yarn, so it's not a lot at all. And a stitch marker, needles, and all the scrap yarn you have, and that's all it is. It's a really fun project. If you haven't tried it, I totally recommend it. One more thing I want to mention about it is I learned off of a YouTube video. If I can remember which one, I will put it down in the description bar and or the description box, and you can check it out. It is how to weave in ends as you go, after which you do have to snip off the ends, like the end that's left, and that part I haven't done, but I'll show you that I have weaved in the ends as I went along. So this one here has been weaved in on the side, and the pink has been weaved in, and this here the tail just needs to be cut off or snipped off. And the same thing on this side. I have a purple that has been weaved in, and this end will get weaved in with the next square. So all the way around, it may be a little more visible when you use a light and a very dark yarn, where I have weaved in to the top here. Maybe I should have done it on this side. Yeah, like I said, hindsight is always it's 2020. You always think about things like that later. But yes, so just so that it's not a bunch of what do you call it, ends to weave in at the end of your project. And these two I will have to weave in somewhere, because or I think I have weaved it in. I just need to snip it off. Well, whatever. So that's just something. Okay, so that's that. And now on to, sorry about that. Okay, so now on to my works in progress. I'm going to do a very quick update because a few of you had asked me for some pictures and updates on my Granny Stripes blanket, because I think you're doing a similar blanket, or you're crocheting a similar blanket. So here is just a very quick update on it. I'm not going to go into detail. I think I've talked enough about it the last time, and maybe when it's a little wider or more of it, I might do an update later as well. So here we have it. This is what I have so far. It's about 4 inches, maybe 5. And yeah, I'm really liking this project. It is so soft and squishy, and you know, just the smallest amount of yarn can go into it. And it's nice when you pick up some of your older scraps and start weaving it in, and you remember the project you had used it for. All right, on to the next one. This is in my oldest project bag that I made, and you can see that it's kind of like you know, worn out a little bit. But here is the Kai Pooch shawl by Tina, and I will put up the picture of it as well as her name. And it is a beautiful shawl of stocking net, as stitches is broken with a row of eyelets in between, and it's a very easy knit. And there's a lace section on the bottom with a picot bind off. although I might opt for a different bind off. But here is my version of that. I have knit all of the body, and this is the yarn for the body that I've used is a Hydrangea Garden on the oak sock base by Herbslat Regina, and I will put that up on the screen. And it is a really nice mix of colors, and I had intended it for socks, but then I wanted to do a shawl because at the time I wasn't too fond of socks, and I thought, oh, you know, I'll use it for something that I do want to wear. And yes, I started knitting this shawl. This is about a year ago, and here is the lace edging. Please ignore my stitch markers for a second, I'll explain that. And then I started on the lace section, and because of the very long rows, and I had just finished a shawl before this that had quite a bit of lace in it. I think that was my across the pond shawl, and the lace edging was a little intense and not difficult. It was just you needed to follow the chart very closely, which you do from all lace, I guess. And there was a few times when I had to rip back on that one. So with this, I just wanted to be careful, and so I put in a stitch marker, and I didn't have as many stitch markers, so I used these elastics that my daughter has from, I don't know what they're called, to make the bracelets and things like that, like so she has a whole bunch of them in different colors. So I thought, oh, you know, that works, and it does work if you are using a small project. Like I've used it when I've knit socks and things like that, because you know, when you're starting off, you don't have a lot of, or I would rather spend the money on the yarn rather than on things like stitch markers, or so I thought. So I didn't have many, so I used these elastics, and then I was trying to knit through a few rows, and it just took for the longest time ever, because the elastic of course drags, and it goes under your stitches, over your stitches, all over the place, and it doesn't move. It's really hard to get it across the shawl, the cord. I'm using a 40-inch cord with my Knit Picks nickel plated needles, which are 4 millimeters, and yes, so that wasn't fun, and that's why I stopped knitting it and I put it aside. Then I forgot about it, and I wanted to pick it up and complete it recently, and I'd forgotten why I put it away. So I tried to knit a row, and right away I had to stop because it was so annoying. And I went on Amazon and I ordered myself a packet of 100 stitch markers, so that should be good. And so now I'm just waiting for them to come to continue on this, but it's definitely going to be one of my works in progress that I am going to try and finish as soon as possible, because I think it'll look nice to wear it. So that's my second one. Yes, and then the third, I'm starting to make a little pile here of project bags. So yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a cleanup. All right, the third one I just started literally for about an hour yesterday, and it is the Selva Mittens by Skein Knits, and I'll put up the picture here as well as the name. It's Ellie of Skein Knits. For those of you, I can't imagine anybody who's not watched her podcast or does not know of her, but if you haven't, you can find her on YouTube as Skein Knits, and she has a lovely Scandinavian designs of shawls, sweaters, hats, mittens, a lot of stuff, but her Selva mittens are pretty popular. And I usually, when things come out and I'm not part of a bandwagon, but I'm like the follower of it. So I see everyone knitting something and I kind of just watch it to see how it's going. I read the reviews to kind of get an idea of, is it doable, or how it comes out with different versions. And it's a few weeks, months later that I get to it. So I'm always late for the party, but to me, it's not really late. It's more like, okay, now I have an understanding of what it is. Yes, weird thinking, but that's the way it is. All right, so here's what I've knit so far. Very, very little. Like I said, it was just about an hour yesterday that I started it, and I love this yarn. So let me tell you about it. It is from Blacker Yarns, and it is on their swan base, so Blacker Swan there, and Falkland Islands wool. Is it Falkland or Falkland? All right, well, and it is a DK weight, both of them are, and the gray, oh, let me show you the yarn. And like I said, my caking skills, seriously, I do try, okay, but it's just, I'm thinking it's the winder, you know, maybe not, but we'll go with that. Okay, so here, the lavender is, well, the purple on the top is called Lavender, and the bottom is Pebble. So those are the two yarns. They're DK weight, and I have heard so many good things about Blacker Yarns, and I have to say this is my first time using it, and it is lovely. So if you are thinking of trying them, you should. It's got, oh, I have to tell you what it is. Okay, it has merino with Shetland, and it doesn't give you, I don't think it gives you the ratio, but it's got merino with Shetland, and my experience of Shetland is that it's a little rustic, but you don't feel it at all in this. This is like really squishy and soft, and yeah, it's really, really nice. I don't know what more to say about it. It's really nice. So I just started the pattern. It's a paid for pattern, obviously, so and like I said, I don't really print out my patterns as much as possible. I don't, but if it gets too complicated, then, you know, I print off a page or so. So here you go. This is what I've done so far, and you go right into the pattern with just a very small amount of ribbing, and so you're right into it already, and it's very interesting. Like, I don't want to put it down, but it's a lot of fun knitting that. That's what that project is. So those are my works in progress. Oh, I have one more that I just want to do an update on, because this is one that I've been knitting for like a relaxing knit, because I have a sock project going on that it has a little bit of a cable detail in it. I have my cable sweater, which also requires a cable needle. So I wanted something that was just easy and kind of, you know, didn't have to follow too many instructions, and you just know what you're doing and you kind of keep knitting. So I have been continuing knitting on my Color Affection shawl, and now you guys can see more of the pink that was kind of washing out the last time I showed you. So let me find the right side. Yes, so I start off on the top in this gray, which is Sea Holly by Fun & Fiber, and then it goes into my gradient set of pinks by Fun & Fiber also. It's her Victorian Secret set, and there are 3 left because now I'm on to the second. So that was the first, and this is the second of the gradient. I stopped with this much on the first color because I wanted to use it in my blanket, and I thought I would go into the second because I wanted more of the darker colors and more of a gradient because yeah, that's just more. So you can see there's a striping detail there, and it's all garter stitch, so it's perfect for knitting. And you know, I think I've changed the third color like a few times. Again, this has to do with the last 2 weeks being full of indecisiveness, if that's a word. And so now I finally come up with my third color, and this one I'm going to stick to is, I'm sorry for the crinkling again. Here is my gradient set. This is my darkest color on this set, and here is what I'm going to end off with. So it's going to be a real gradient of pinks, grays to pinks, and I'm thinking this is going to be the shawl that I am going to enjoy wearing, so why not make it about the color? So yeah, that's what it is. And this yarn is Malabrigo. I didn't write it down. I'll put it up on the screen, or I will find it and tell you the next time, because I think I have to look for the ball band. Okay, so that is that, and those are my works in progress. So let me get on to what's going on. And I don't have a lot to say about the last 2 weeks, except that it's been crazy busy as usual, but that, you know, that's the usual. But my knitting has just been all over the place, like I said, and I didn't like that. I was so distracted, and I'm sure you guys have had weeks like that, right? I mean, we go through that. Like I wanted to knit, so I would sit there with the knitting, especially with my squares, and then not know which color to knit, so I'd waste like a half an hour trying to decide on that, and then I get frustrated and put it down, try and pick up something else, and not be able to work on that either, and it was just a mind block, which was horrible. But then I found this, you know, not found, but then I picked up the Color Affection shawl and this garter stitch, and then I was okay. But that was just, you know, on Friday, and today is Sunday. So yeah, there goes 2 weeks of knitting, right? Anyways, on to the giveaway, and I really want to thank all of you for you know, taking the time to come and watch an episode with me, and for all the lovely comments. Really, I was just overwhelmed by it, because I don't expect much. And just to have so many people say such lovely things, and you know, I was just taken back, and yeah, I don't want to start crying on the podcast, but they're really, like, you guys were really sweet, which is very nice. And it's nice to know that I am finally finding you know, finding a space that I can relate in, and that there are people who actually want to watch what I have to share, and really that makes a big difference. So thank you, and that, you know, like I said, I wanted to keep it interesting for all of you, and do these giveaways. And so the first one for January will be, it's going to be a little late, just because my podcast timing has gone a little out of whack. So I'll tell you all of the details now, and I will draw for a winner on the next one, which will not be in January. It'll be 2 weeks from now on a Saturday. So yes, I will put that, put all of the date and the timelines into the Ravelry group, so do go check it out. For the giveaway, I just have a very small prompt that I wanted, I thought it would be easy enough for everyone to answer, and I asked that you be subscriber of the YouTube channel, as well as a member of the Ravelry group. The prompt is, what do you consider comfort knitting, comfort crocheting, comfort crafting? What is it to you? So to answer the prompt for myself, it is, I like to knit shawls. Shawl knitting is comfort knitting to me, and I like the longer rows, longer than a sock, but not as, I don't think sweaters are complicated. It's just there are parts to it, like you got the sleeve, you got the collar, you got the button band, different things, but maybe the, obviously the body, but it could be fronts and back, or knitting in the round, different things like that. But shawl knitting, it's long rows and it's just knitting. So whatever the stitch may be, I'm okay with it. I like to switch it up, but to me, shawl knitting would be comfort knitting. Yeah, so what is it to you? What is comfort knitting to you? And yeah, answer that in the Ravelry thread. And when you join, if you could also go and introduce yourself in the welcome thread. Okay, so for the giveaway again, it's one entry per person, and on the day of, just before my podcast, before recording the podcast, I will use random number generator, which I will have to figure out, because I don't think it's too difficult. We'll see. And pick a winner. And the prize, I wanted to give you something that you would enjoy. Once the winner is decided on, I will send you a message and on Ravelry, and you can then pick a pattern for me off of Ravelry that's in your queue, and I will gift it to you. So yeah, that way you get what you like, and it's a little simple for me as well. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do with the giveaway. So be sure, especially for those of you who have been watching all these episodes and being encouraging me, and for everyone really, like if you want to join, it's not exclusive. Go and sign up for it. So good luck, and wish you the best. Now on to our knit along, the very first knit along for Sweet Lavender Knits podcast. And I really have to say, I look forward to these little meetings, our knit nights together, although it is not night right now. But I only wish that I could speak as well as knit. That is something I'm working on, to be able to knit without looking. I'm practicing, but it's not going that well. And you know what, with the garter stitch, it's a lot of practice, which is nice. So I'm trying to practice on that as well. So for the knit along, I thought I would I wanted to keep it very casual and really just make it a lot of fun. And I picked February because it allows me to introduce it to you, and it will be starting on the 1st of February and go all the way to the 28th. And the name of the cal is going to be Sweet Lavender Knits Short and Sweet Cal. February is the shortest month of the year, and it is said to be the sweetest. So whatever that means to you, I know not everyone celebrates Valentine's, and the month is not always about it. I think there are lots of reasons to celebrate February, and so you can give me your version of short and sweet. I only ask that if you are starting a project, that it be 50 grams, and I think that's a good size even for short socks. It's a good amount of yardage, and you can use enter whips for this, as long as you have 50 grams more to knit. So yeah, I don't want to make it too complicated, but you know, if you have a sweater and you have to finish a sleeve and it's going to be 50 grams, yeah, why not? I don't know what the yardage on sleeves is, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like you can use a whip as long as you have 50 grams to knit during the month. And I'm giving it a month only because I am a slow knitter, and it might take me a month to knit, and I want to knit along with you guys, so we'll see. And I know some of you can whip these things off the needles like in days. So yeah, the more finished objects you have, the more entries you get into the prize. All right, I don't know if I'm saying everything, so let me just have a look at my notes and see, because I do want to try and cover everything. Okay, so I'll be opening a chatter thread after I finish with the podcast today. I'll set up a chatter thread for the giveaway, for the CAL, and there you can you know, show us what you're going to knit, or your yarn, whatever you want. You can, it's just chatter, and then I will open a finished objects thread on the 1st of February or thereabout, maybe 1st or 2nd. 1st is usually a very busy day for me, but I'll try to remember, and if not the 2nd, a finished objects thread, and there it will be no chatter, just your finished objects entries, and it's 50 grams or more per entry. So if you have a whole bunch of lavender hearts or something, you can put them all together as long as they're 50 grams of yardage or of yarn, and that'll be one entry. So you get that, right? Okay. All right. And yes, as for the prize, now I don't have too many things, so I'm trying to make this as fun as possible. And if I get more stuff, I might add to it, but I will let you know. But for now, I have a project bag that I've made. And this is a drawstring sock style bag, so it's a sock size. And this lovely yarn that I bought for myself because I wanted it, but then I thought it's very appropriate. It's very appropriate for this giveaway because it has lavender in its name. So first off, here is the yarn. It's Sparkle, and it is beautiful, beautiful. It is from Cozy Posy Yarn Co. Antonella, a lovely Etsy shop, and it is on her Cozy Sparkle base, which is a 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% gold stellina. And it is 115 grams, which is 384 meters. And it is called, the colorway is Lavender, ooh, it's blowing out. Lavender Feels Forever. Okay, so it's like giving away a baby, which is very difficult, but I wanted it to be meaningful, and so here is the prize for the giveaway, for the CAL, and I really want to you know, make it special, and it is very special to me, and I hope whoever wins it will enjoy it as well. So that is the prize for the knit along, and it starts 1st of February going all the way to February 28th, and it is called, I will put the hashtag down below if you want to tag it on Instagram. It will be Sweet Lavender Knits SLK, short and sweet Cal, and it's ampersands for the and. So that's it. I have talked on for quite a bit today, but you know what, I think I apologize about the lighting. I hope it doesn't bother you too much. I am trying to work around it and not quite sure how to go about it, but if you have tips, let me know. yes, that is it for today. I thank you very, very much for watching, and I want to say a big, big thank you again for all of you who have been so sweet with your comments. And go ahead, feel free to put your comments down below, and I hope you got some knitting done, and see you back in 2 weeks. Thanks again for watching, and happy knitting. Bye bye.